The only way to increase your energy, your quality of life, your finances is through the people that you deal with. The only people who are going to make you successful are your customers. But your first customers will probably be your partners. You have to be able to sell yourself, your soul, everything you are, everything you stand for, your values, your principles, your structure, your concept, your model, your idea. You have to be able to sell that to partners before you can sell that to customers, because you need people on your team working together with you to bring your concept to the market. You need a team to do that. You don't do that by yourself. You know, you get resources. Everyone gets resources from some other source. Resources are sourced from some other place. You know, you don't just end up with resources, and this is why we say that all wealth is inherited. And when you understand that all wealth is inherited, someone has to give it to you. You understand, well, I need a business model for giving and receiving. All wealth is inherited whether one customer gives it to you. All wealth is inherited whether one person gives it to you or a million customers do. All wealth is inherited, no matter what. I just got off the phone with a potential high value collaborator and business partner from the call and from the feeling that it left me with, and just from the engagement during the whole call. It was a productive call. It was a respectful call. It was a good call. It was a call that was clear. It was a call that was friendly. It was a call that was a mutual benefit to all parties involved. And it was a call that was based on being raw and being honest and being direct and being specific with needs that need to be met. And anytime you're on the phone with someone, one thing that I really appreciate about the person that I was on the call with, his name is Eric, is Eric asked really intelligent questions, questions that were very clear and gave me clarity on how I could meet Eric's needs, because he was asking me questions so that he could understand how we could work together successfully. And that's what I appreciate, because the questions that you ask are really what determine the level of expert that you are. And this is why I really appreciate like the questions, because in order for people to trust you, they have to take you serious, and the only way they can take you serious is through the questions that you ask, and the questions that you ask satisfy everyone's trust, which there are two types. Trust needs. There are two types of trust that people need satisfied before they can trust themselves moving forward with you. And the first type is intention. So you want to establish the intentions. This is my intentions. This is the place of the heart and the mind that I'm coming from. I'm coming from an angle of being a benefit, a mutual benefit, working together to collaborate successfully. I'm coming together to understand how I can help you, and I'm coming together to understand, and to learn you and to learn what your goals are. Because once I know what your goals are, and once I know what your process is and what's already worked for you and what hasn't worked for you and what's new versus what's old, then I can come in and say, hey, this is this new idea that I have, and I can easily integrate it and attach it to what you already have going on. So now I'm a value add because I'm not costing you anything. I'm eliminating the risk by having clear processes and business models and information. So I really appreciate this person, Eric, who I was on the call with, and me and Eric connected through a mutual contact, and but outside of that mutual contact's view, because I'm no longer connected with the original source. However, me and Eric connected, and I established, where I'm coming from and how I found him, and what happened in the past, and I gave him background about my story and where I am now. And I said, ultimately, my intention is to collaborate, because this is what I do. I am a business development strategist. I specialize in business development. I specialize in strategy. I innovate organizations by collaborating with professionals and top talent and putting them together as a team that can fulfill a transformational project for the company. And in doing that, there's a need for marketing. There's a need for what you do, Eric. And so I've had to take that very seriously, and I've invested some time in learning and partnering, and these are the partnerships that I've had in the past. And just so that I'm respectful of your time today, I want to give you, put in context, the business portion of this. So in the past, this is how I collaborated with this marketer. I basically marked up her pricing. So whatever her pricing was, say it was $1,000 a month, I marked it up 15 to 20%, and then we presented that pricing to the client, and I got paid an ongoing retainer fee. It was passive income. It was a passive form of compensation. I got paid for the duration of the client relationship, and the client covered my referral fee. So that similar situation is what I'm imagining us doing here. Does that make sense? Yeah, that makes, so you give context, you give background, you come in sharp, and you address the economic need first and foremost. That's level one. It's survival. It's basic. You get that out the way first. You don't have to dive too deeply into that. But once people understand that you're coming at this from a financial benefit perspective and how you've already done things in the past, you make it easy for them to understand how you can best come to work with each other. And by me just putting all that in context first, it makes people relax and say that, okay, this is someone that sounds like he's intentional about working together successfully. And that's all that people want to know, because once you find people like that, you have to stay connected with people who have your best interests in mind. They're first and foremost addressing how they're going to pay you, how you're going to make money, how they're imagining it, and they're checking with you to say, hey, does that make sense? Does that sound like something that is feasible? And then once they say yes, that sounds good, you move forward with further elaboration and detail, and you ask them questions. So what kinds of clients have you worked with within the industry that you specialize in, and et cetera? You know what I'm saying? So, for example, if a partner works with restaurants, or they work with resorts, what kind of resorts, and what's your ideal type of client? And what would your ideal client pay you per month? And what's your pricing? And could you give me a better idea of what types of services you offer in specific? Because that would help me be a good sales person extension for you. That would help me be a good business development person for you. Because basically I'm out here and I'm referring my client relationships your way. So how would we go about that? And then Eric had actually asked the question. The first question that he asked was, the first question that we asked was, okay, so you're out there and you're presenting me with like a client profile, because I told him basically, hey, I'm going to go out there and basically before I refer you anyone, I'm going to give you a client profile. So this is how I'm actually be referring you customers. I have a process. So my initial hook for reeling people in to collaborate with me is, one, offering to be a referral partner to them, offering to get them more customers to send them business. In this case, if it's a partner, they're not paying me to get them business. I'm getting them business, and then once they secure the business, I'm paid. I get a portion of that contract. I get equity in that contract. So that's called a partner client, kind of client situation, but they're a partner. They're not an actual business client that I'm, serving, but we all serve each other just in different capacities. So basically, I said, Eric, this is how I would refer you a client. We have a restaurant. You would know, you get an idea of their revenue, their average check, how much, their what their budget is. Say they're willing to pay $4,000 a month. You would get their location. You would get, so basically, I would pre-qualify them before sending them to you, and I'd give them a client profile. And then what he asked was to piggyback off of what I was saying that I would do. Is he was saying, well, at what point would the client would you be referring the business to me? So basically, what I'm saying is, how much knowledge of marketing would the client already have of you and our relationship? Like, are you just sitting down with the client and you're saying, hey, I'm gonna just pass you to my marketing, my marketing guy Eric, and then I take it from there. And then so I said that was a fantastic question, because now he's looking into, he knows my process of, before I refer you a client, you're gonna know exactly who they are and have a client profile. And then he's going deeper into what my process is for referring him the business. And that's someone that is interested in understanding my business, which is referring him business. So he's understanding my process of how I'm actually getting the result, which means, it better equips him to collaborate with me successfully if he has transparency on how I'm actually doing what I do. Because I'm telling him this is the process that I'm doing, this is how I'm doing the process, and these are the steps that I take. So basically what his question was, okay, I'm going to be pre-qualifying these clients, but what's their level of knowledge? Like, do they already have a marketing person? Do they, like, how much, he basically, Eric wanted to understand how much work he would have to do to finish the rest of the qualification process. So if I qualify a business down to, okay, they're making this much amount of money and they're interested in marketing, then all Eric knows is, okay, this client is interested in, this client has the money and they're interested in marketing, but Eric wouldn't know anything else. Eric wouldn't actually know if this client was a good fit for his unique services. And so that's the process. So my response to that was, basically, I would have clients go into different buckets. I would have leads go into different buckets. So let's say for about 4 buckets, bucket A, B, C, and D. Client A, for example, and I don't have this built out yet, but just to give you a picture of what I'm working to do for you. So bucket A would be a client that has a very limited knowledge of marketing. They absolutely know nothing at all. They're kind of like, they're probably older and they're maybe 68 or whatever, and they just don't have a clue about marketing. They've never done it before. They don't know a damn thing. And so if I had a client profile and I'd say, hey, Eric, I have this client profile for you. This client knows absolutely, nothing about marketing. You already know that just from the client profile, and just like immediately. And then from that would allow you to say, hey, I'm going to pass on this client, or I'm going to take this client on, And then if you were to move forward with the client, then you would present like your pricing to me, and then we would mark that up on a rate that we agree upon that you think is good, and then we present the pricing, and then you would present the pricing to the client, basically, with my markup built into your pricing. So you don't have to adjust for, inflation or whatever. Like, your profits are good, they stay the same. I'm simply just marking up whatever you're already charging, And then that's what I would do. So that it depends on the success of this depends on my ability to sell and communicate the value, and to know that these clients that I'm referring Eric's business to, they have to be able to afford his services. So I have to know how much his services are costing, so that I can focus on the right demographic of client, that can definitely afford Eric's services. So that's what I would be doing. And Eric was like, his first question was just getting understanding. So me sorting them into the buckets, like client A would be knowing absolutely nothing about marketing at all. And then client D would be this client, they've already hired a marketer in the past. They need a marketer right away. They got a slot to fill. And, this client they already understand the value of marketing. So there's less consulting and resistance that you have to overcome. So you'll know a client's level of resistance to you being successful in your business based on the client profile that would already be there for you. And that basically clarified my intentions even further, because you realize, like, wow, this guy's really thorough. He's taking care of us, because we're being transparent about how we're actually making a living. You know what I'm saying? How we're actually doing what we're doing to benefit each other. So transparency of processes. And then the next thing, after that, the next question that he had was, okay, so in terms of like branding and representation, like how would we be collaborating together in terms of whose company is being represented? And I said, you know what, I don't really care who gets the credit, as long as the value, is exchanged properly, So basically, you can, I can come in as, Brian J. Fleming Companies. I'm this guy who collaborates with different professionals and different partners, and I'm working with a client. Client knows me as Brian J. Fleming Companies, and I say, hey, by the way, I work with a marketing agency called, XYZ Marketing Agency. You know, um, and then I'm working with XYZ Marketing Agency. I'm gonna hand it off to them, and then they'll pick it up from there. We can go like that, saying it doesn't, what I'm saying, but you don't have to like, there's tactics out there we can do like white labeling and things like that, but it's not really that high of an interest for me to like to white label and say, hey, this is Brian J. Fleming Companies. This guy works for me. No, no, you can stay your separate business. We'll have clear distinction. All they know is that I'm partnered up with you, and that I know you, and the value of simply a client working with anyone that I work with is just a transference of trust. So because the client has worked with me, they know me, they understand me. There's already been a value, exchange with us. Me just saying, hey, this is my friend, XYZ agency, referring them to you is no problem because it's just another person that I'm referring them to. It's a partner that I work with. Everything doesn't need to be, oh, this is my company, too, and this is my company, we're white labeling. It doesn't have to be like that. So I answered his other question, and, I said, does that make sense, everything that we discussed, so far? This was like just a discovery session, and it was just to see if we, be able to do something together, and we did. We pulled it off, and this conversation basically just raised my energy, raised my vibration, because yesterday I got off the phone with a person that didn't have my best intentions in mind, because they were coming at me with work to do, but they didn't intend to compensate me anything for it or figure out a workable business model where I can get, you know, where it can be a benefit for me. That was that conversation last night that put my vibration down. But this conversation with Eric lifted my vibration because it's in the direction that I want to go. I'm actually making progress. I'm able to clearly communicate and express what it is that I'm doing. And every time that I deal with other professionals, I learn something because they ask me intelligent questions, and then I take that information in and I spit that game back at the market. And that makes me even more powerful. So just by you associating with other people who have collected their power, they're organized, and that's incredible. It makes you a better person. And then you talk about business, but just because you address the business aspect of things first and you just address the major important things in the beginning, like the big things, because when you're collaborating or when you're doing business or anything that you're doing, the initial decisions that you make in the beginning determine how the rest of the thing is going to go. So the biggest decisions that you'll make are the decisions that you make in the beginning, how you start something off. And a lot of people say, well, it doesn't matter how you start, it matters how you finish. It definitely fucking matters how you start. That is a lie. It matters how you start. It all comes down to how you start. Because if you start at a higher level of everything good, you're going to get even more good in the end. But if you start off shitty, chances of failure or, staying in a stage of temporary defeat for the long term or mediocrity, those are higher. You know what I'm saying? So it matters. If you start out in a success mindset, you're going to finish in a success mindset, and you're going to finish with something to show for your mindset. So that's what it is. That's how you get ahead. And so, if you got some value out of this, just put down in the comments, like the one thing that you took away from this. Always take something away from someone. It's not about, like Lil Wayne said this, and Lil Wayne is one of my favorite rappers of all time, but he said this. He said, it's not about what you walk away from. It's about what you walk away with. It's not about what you walk away from, it's about what you walk away with. So walk away with something. Walk away with high dignity, high value, appreciation for yourself and others. You can't appreciate others around you if they're not appreciating you. You know what I'm saying? You have to require and demand that your value be recognized for what you are. And at least people know what it is, you know what I'm saying? So you go address like the business situation first, you put that in context, and that just helps everybody relax, and it reassures that you are an ally, you mean well, and you also have the ability. Because the first type of trust is, I trust your intentions. The second type of trust is, I trust your ability. I know you can get this done. And when people trust your intentions and they trust your ability, then you have their trust. And now all you have to do is just maintain being predictable, being responsible, and being reliable. Letting people know what you're about to do before you do it, and being reliable, meaning you're able to be counted on and depended upon, and being responsible, being able to respond, being able to do what you're set out to do, being clear about your needs. Like I told Eric, like my main challenge. Another thing is, like, when you're collaborating with another person, you want to be transparent about your challenges and your needs so that they know how to come in and best help you be successful in helping them, because helping them helps you, and helping you helps them, and helping them helps you, and it's mutually beneficial. So that's why you have to be raw and honest about what could block you from being successful, or why you're coming, or why you need someone's help. And when you let somebody know why you need help, they can understand, like, this is why he's reaching out to collaborate with me. So when you know why, this is like, why are you doing this? Why me? Well, why you is, first off, because your name is really cool, you know, and I'm not gonna say like his last name, whatever, but his first and last name, it has a cool combination. That's initially what attracted me to you, was your name. I thought that was really cool. But ultimately, why um, I'm getting in touch with you is because my biggest challenge is I come across phenomenal opportunities all the time. Phenomenal or potentially phenomenal opportunities, incredible opportunities. And I'm unable to fulfill these opportunities because the way my current workstation is set up, I'm limited in resources in terms of technology, and just I'm getting things off the ground in that nature. So what I'm looking to do is, since I'm coming across many opportunities, and there's no shortage of them, but there's just a shortage of people who can do the work effectively, the right talent, and just matching that up and making sure that everyone's in alignment with each other. So I'm pretty good at that. But what I need is, my desired outcome is having access to a team partner who's experienced, credible, knowledgeable in terms of marketing, that can just be a value add to what I'm already doing. Because the way my mind works is, and what my agenda is I know I have a high value service to offer. I know that I have value to give, and I know that others have value to give. So I believe in combining value together to increase the already high value of what we can potentially give to a business client, to a market. And so that's what I'm doing here. So I'm attaching other people to make my services more valuable, as well as be an extension of their services. And that's why I'm reaching out to you. So when you understand that, when someone's being clear and honest about what they want to do and what their agenda is, and their intentions and the environment that they're creating for you to fit you into that, and they're being clear about their processes and how they've done things in the past, and they're open-minded to doing things differently or a better way in the future, and learning from you. And also, another thing that I did was, the questions that Eric asked, I made sure that I acknowledged how appreciative I was of him asking those questions, and appreciative of certain values that he mentioned, like automation. He brought up scalability. He brought up, so me repeating people's words back to them and showing that I understand what they're talking about, and I'm also communicating the value of those words to me back to them. They understand there's a connection there. Like, this is what scale means to me. This is what automation means to me. You said making things easy and effortless. This is what those things mean to me. And when you show that you value someone else's values, that's ultimately what they trust. You have to show that there's a mutual value for the shared values. Shared values. Shared values are pretty much the foundation of any collaboration for it to be effective. We have to value the same thing. So I value scale. I value automation. I value things being easy and effortless. I value being results driven and focusing on the results that matter. And I value keeping things in their place. Like, he was very clear that he wants to only focus on a certain aspect of marketing, which is more the results driven side, and less of the creative, kind of unmanageable aspect of marketing, which is kind of like you're creating, but there's no definite results that come from that can be measured specifically, or like these, he's focused on more of the services that are like quick plug in, begin generating money, begin generating results, begin generating leads and value like right away. The other the other aspects of marketing take longer to build up over time. And so there's different aspects of a marketing campaign that take longer than others, and he's focusing more so on the more easily doable and feasible aspects, the quicker services that can easily be grabbed up and benefited from today. So that's what he focuses on, and he made that very clear. And I pointed out that I appreciate him making it clear of where he wanted his role to be. And then we said, okay, so this is my desired outcome for this, to having a team that I can, you know, I asked him, how many people does he collaborate with? He told me he collaborates with a few people, so you understand the value of working together and with others, and I really appreciate that. So obviously you understand, et cetera. And then you go on to make your point, and then you check in with them. Hey, does that make sense? Or you pause, you stop. And then, they say, yeah, that makes sense. Cool. So as long as the first call makes sense and we set the standards for the first call and we're very clear, then everything, it makes it just so much easier for the remainder of the relationship. You know what I'm saying? So next steps is, I have a lot on my plate today, but in 2 weeks I can follow up with something in writing that will just give a better clarity of where I'm at with, what we discussed so far. And basically I'll put everything into context. And so you can understand it, and we'll just begin working and morphing this over time until we get it right. And then we can say, hey, does this look good? Cool, this looks good, amazing, let's do it. Let's make it official. Does that sound good? He says, yeah, that makes sense. So you're walking people through a process, and you're setting the stage and the expectations. And when you're doing that, you're being predictable. When you just, when you tell people what you're going to do before you do it, you're being reliable, because you being transparent with what you're offering and telling them that you're going to do. That shows that you're reliable, because you're following up with them. You know what I'm saying? You can be counted on and relied on. It shows that you're reliable when you have a clear process and you're offering to put something in writing so that they understand it clearly. Like, that action right there shows that you're reliable. And what shows that you are responsible is by actually doing it, actually making it happen, and that just communicates predictability, responsibility, and reliability, and that you have, they can trust your intentions and they can trust your ability, because you can do the work and you can get it done. So this is all the things that you need to really satisfy, so that you can be a safe person to do business and collaborate with, because you want to mitigate risk for other people being involved with you as much as possible. And if there is a risk being to work with you, you want to bring that up. So I didn't hesitate from saying, Eric, my technology is bad. You know what I'm saying? My resources are limited, but this is my agenda, and this is what I will do, and this is how I do it, and these are my intentions, and I'm laying it all out on the table. So it's clear in the beginning as quickly as possible, so that you understand exactly what's going on within the first 15 minutes of speaking with me. And that's all you need. And then basically by me doing that, even if I'm the worst fit for anybody ever, at least in the first 15 minutes of dealing with me, they know that I could be a fit for working with someone else that they know, because of the way I carry myself and the way I conduct myself and the way I do business. Business is an exchange of value, so I'm not here hooking Eric up with a favor. No, I'm making it intentional, because I'm setting the concept early, because I don't need any friends. And a lot of people don't need any more friends. What people need is, they need friends in business. They need business partners, allies who know what they're doing, know what they're talking about, and are intentional 110% on creating results in reality. Like, those are the people that people need. And so when you identify yourself as that person by behaving in a manner such as I do on a daily, consistent basis, people respect you, appreciate you, value you, and support you, because you're satisfying all these things. And you're success partnering, and that's basically what success partnering is based on. So it's all about bringing people and resources together for greater achievement. And in order to do that, business models have to be in place. You have to have a structure. And this is how I get done what I need to be gotten done. And in the future, I probably will record calls with partners and reaching out to them initially, just so that you guys can learn how to do it yourselves.